Hey guys, it's Simi. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 22nd of January 2019 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite from the Chris Jericho Rockin' Wrestling Rager at Sea Part 2 Second Wave, or also known as the hashtag Jericho Cruise. And I thought tonight's show, with everything on it, was an okay show. I honestly didn't think that the show being from the boat or anything was anything all that special. Like, it was a cool aesthetic at first, but then it just was a show. The matches were just matches. There were nothing special about the matches other than we had a title change. But other than that, I take it back. Someone got thrown in the pool, MJF. Okay. So that was a thing you're not going to get anywhere else. But from what I had heard from people that were on the boat, they were like, this is going to look so cool on TV. The atmosphere is going to be great. The crowd's very lively until the main event. And I was also told that, it looked going to look big. But the way it was shot, it didn't look big at all. It really looked small and secluded. So, to be honest, I really didn't feel like there was anything extra special about tonight's show other than it was on the cruise ship. I do like that they were able to mute the crowd a little in the main event. Now, let me tell you a little story that I heard. I was told by one person on the ship that during the main event, a Disney cruise ship pulls up next to them. Because while they're filming Dynamite, they're docked. They're not moving the ship. They didn't want to do any moving while they were filming Dynamite. And a Disney cruise ship pulls up next to them. And people in the crowd literally start yelling at this other ship. Start chanting, "Fuck your ship, our ship's better." During the main event. They did it to another cruise ship as well during the dark match that was taped before the Dynamite stuff. And it's just like, really? This is how the wrestling community is going to be represented on this cruise ship to other cruise ships? I just found that odd, strange, and kind of childish to have I heard it was a pretty good portion of the crowd at the Dynamite tapings yelling at this other ship, "Fuck your ship, our ship's better," at a Disney cruise ship. Now, I may be in the minority here, but why would you ever talk down to a Disney cruise ship? I love everything Disney, so I'm a little biased on that. But still, it was, Henry in the chat says right there, unprofessional. Yeah, but they're not the professionals on the ship. They're the fans that can really voice what they want to voice. So I really can't say too much about it other than a little childish and a little meh. But with that, we've got a show to talk about. But let's see who's here with us in the live chat to talk about this show. We've got Jack Dawson, Henry Cavallo, Eric Tate, George John Cox, Woken King Slender, Kristen McNutt, Derek Bocek, and so many more of you. So they did announce, for anybody that did not hear, if you missed out on the cruise, you can go next year, as the cruise will be taking place February 1st through 5th. It will be part 3. I don't know how they're going to do that one. Part Trace, part AAA. I don't know. So the show kicks off, and you can just see that it is windier than ever loving hell. Like, everybody's hair is flip-flopping. People's clothing is all everywhere. That was probably hard for them wrestlers, but it starts off with the AEW World Tag Team Championship match with SCU's Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian defending against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Kazarian and Page began the match. Kazarian grounded Page with a side headlock. Omega and Sky tagged in. Omega worked on Sky's left arm. They did a tackle spot, a drop down, leapfrog, tackle sequence. Very basic offense here at the early parts of this match. Page hit a fall-away slam on Sky. Kazarian blind tagged himself in and hit Page with a leg lariat. Page then went for the pin, but only got a near fall. Kazarian dumped Page right on his head after a suplex. Omega then broke up and ensuing pinning attempt. Kristen, I'm actually going to talk about that later. Kazarian hit Paige with an unprettier. Both hit a simultaneous clotheslines into a double down. Omega and Sky tagged in. Omega hit Kazarian with a snapdragon. Omega then hit Sky with a can't escape, aided by a standing shooting star from Paige. Paige then hit Kazarian with a crossbody off the post, and then they flew over the barricade into the crowd. Omega hit Sky with a buckle bomb. Sky ducked a V-trigger, but Omega hit a second one. Sky avoided a one-winged angel and hit a top rope Frankensteiner. Paige accidentally hit Omega with a buckshot lariat. Sky hit Omega with a TKO for a near fall. Paige then hit a tope suicida onto the ramp during a commercial break. Sky and Kazarian continued working over Omega during the break. Omega hit another V-trigger on Sky into a double down spot. After the break, Sky and Kazarian hit the SCU later on Omega. Paige broke up the pin, shoving Sky into Kazarian. Paige hit a discus lariat and a powerbomb on Kaz. He then hit a buckshot lariat on Sky on the ramp. Paige then jumped back inside and hit Kazarian with the buckshot for the pin for the victory after Kenny Omega was basically laid out. So, they win the tag titles, both men get the belts, and the Bucks come out to celebrate with Omega. Well, they kind of try to celebrate with Paige too, and Paige wants really nothing to do with them, which is weird. Rather than celebrate with the Elite, Paige jumped into the crowd, someone gave him a beer, and, well, he crowd surfed. The Bucks were kind of like, come back, celebrate with us, and he's just sitting there, nah. So, more dissension. Then they did some weird angle later, too. I'll fast forward to that. So later on, they kick it to Tony Schiavone. They say, Jim Ross says, we got Tony Schiavone. He's with the new tag team champions. And he's trying to interview Paige and Omega. And Paige goes to talk. And Tony just literally just goes, so Omega, what about Pac? You know, he still wants his rubber match. And Paige is like, I was trying to talk there, bud. And so he goes to talk to Paige again. And the Bucks interrupt. And so Paige finally just feels like, this is the Kenny Omega show. Everyone cares about Kenny Omega. Like, he didn't say this, but this is how it came off. It's like, it's Kenny Omega show. Everyone cares about Kenny Omega. I'm going to dip out. See y'all later. We're the tag champs. Whatever. So, there's still that dissension, even though they're the tag team champions. And we'll see where that leads to. We then got Britt Baker versus Priscilla Kelly. Not that great of a match, to be honest. Baker used three quick winning combinations early. Three quick pinning combinations early right off the bat and didn't get the pin off of them. Kelly grabbed a chin lock and hit some strikes to the back of the neck during a break. Kelly remained in control through the ad break. Kelly hit a dropkick on as the show returned from commercial. They did a series of misdirection spots that were a good idea, but weren't really executed that well, as it seemed like everyone was running in slow motion. Baker then hit a sling blade. They traded near falls. Then Baker applied the lockjaw. She used the ropes to push off and keep the hold applied in the center of the ring, and, well, Priscilla Kelly tapped out. And then we move on to what happened after the match. So, Britt Baker is slowly turning heel. And after the match, Tony Schiavone interviews Britt Baker. He questioned her about using the ropes, where it's like, she did nothing wrong. It wasn't like she used the ropes for leverage on a pin. That would be considered kind of wrong. But no, she just used the ropes, and we've seen this, but this isn't the first time we've seen this in wrestling. She pushed herself back. Okay, nothing wrong with it. She didn't use it for leverage or anything. I mean, yeah, she used the ropes to move herself in the ring, but I digress. She then mocked Tony Schiavone. She healed it up. She mocked him for taking a job at Starbucks and pointed out that he's a crappy barista. Baker said she's a role model and the hottest girl on this boat. She says she's smart, educated, and brilliant. She says she's also a dentist. She then started examining Tony Schiavone's teeth and basically said, come see me on Monday. So Britt Baker is a self-absorbed, condescending mean girl now, I guess. Cool. I guess we don't got one of them yet in AEW. So then they showed a replay of Jungle Boy going 10 minutes with Chris Jericho. Jericho entered, and the crowd treated him like the biggest babyface that has ever lived. Bigger than Dusty. Bigger than Stone Cold. Bigger than Hulk Hogan. These people on this cruise ship thought Jericho was God, basically. They sang along with his song. His song stopped, and they still kept on singing every word. It's kind of incredible to see. So this next match was a 6-man tag team match. It was Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz taking on the Jungle Express. And Marco Stunt, because he's a little guy, because people say he's a child, he wore a life jacket for a while. I thought this match actually kind of went a little long. It felt like in the middle and towards the end, it kind of dragged. So in the onset, this was all Jurassic Express. They first cut off Ortiz with tandem offense, then Santana. Ortiz made a comeback on Jungle Boy, cutting him off with a leg sweep off the second rope. Jericho got a hot tag and hit Jungle Boy with 2 slams during the break. Inner Circle continued working over Jungle Boy for several minutes, actually. He got a brief hope spot in hitting a crossbody off the second ropes onto Jericho for a near fall. Jungle Boy finally managed to tag in Luchasaurus, who hit a tail whip on Santana, Shining Lizard, as they called it, on Ortiz, then a double chokeslam. Luchasaurus then hit a standing moonsault on Jericho for a near fall. Jake Hager would then interfere. Luchasaurus tagged Marco Stunt. They brawled with Hager to the back. Stunt then hit a 450 on Jericho and almost got the pin. Stunt got 2 more quick near falls off of cradles. Jericho then hit the Judas effect and pinned Marco Stunt. Jericho popped open some bubbly after the match. One cool thing is when everybody arrived in their cabins at the Jericho Cruise, everybody on their bed had a bubbly, had a bottle of the bubbly. This was a fine 6-man, but like I said, I felt like it was a little long. I got bored at times, and I felt like it dragged. So then we got a recap, a very interesting edited recap of the Cody MJF stuff. And before we get to that, I got some text messages here. Well, actually, I only got one. This person here says, I heard that Cody wants to do the show live next year from the boat, not the day before. Is that a good or a bad idea? I don't think it's a bad idea as long as they have everything logistically in place to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Because I was told that the Wi-Fi and the internet, like on your phone, you've got no bars. And you try to connect to the boat Wi-Fi, I don't know if it's just that the Wi-Fi is so slow or that there's so many people trying to use it at the same time that it's just horrible. So either they got to put a big old satellite on this boat or they got to just figure something out to make sure that the connection's good sending back to TNT Live. But I don't think it's a bad idea going live. That's the only text message we have. If anybody else would like to text in, you can do so by calling or texting 510-906-1341. Again, text messages 510-906-1341. So we got MJF versus Joey Janela. Joey Janela, him and Matt Riddle were kind of twins tonight. They both had their hair braided. Apparently, the story Brian Alvarez told, that when they docked in the Bahamas, this lady was yelling, $4 will do braids in your hair for $5 or something like that. It'll take 5 minutes. So Brian Alvarez literally goes, I'll get my hair braided. It ended up costing $150 and took like an hour. And apparently Joey Janela had the same thing done. She was saying, hey, 5 minutes, $4, braid your hair. It wasn't 5 minutes and it wasn't $4. Derek Bocek, I haven't seen anything but the main event of NXT. I don't know if others in the live chat have seen NXT, so please, no NXT spoilers yet. So MJF offered a handshake, Janela accepted, and then MJF spit in his face. MJF used some other heel tactics. He bailed outside and stalled. He then raked the eyes of Janela. MJF worked Janela over with some very basic offense through a commercial break. After the break, Janela was in control. He hit a superplex for a 2. Janela was distracted as Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford came out on the stage and started making out. Janela missed a top rope elbow. MJF hit the double cross for the pin. So MJF picks up the victory, expected. Derek Bojeff says it wasn't a spoiler, it was something that happened after. So, okay, gotcha. But again, I didn't see the show, so I didn't know. And I didn't know if others in the live chat had seen it either. So, just saying. MJF then cuts a promo on Cody after the match. He called Cody a poet, but reminding him that he's the one writing the book, and MJF is the last chapter. Cody would then come out. MJF said, I don't know what you're doing out here. You're getting in the ring, and you can't touch me. He then goes to hand Cody the mic. He goes, here, you want to say something? He goes to hand Cody the mic. He goes, oops, and he drops it. He tells Cody, pick it up. Cody bends over to pick it up, and he kicks it away. So Cody gets on the mic, and MJF goes to leave. And you see the Young Bucks sneaking in, because, I mean, you gotta get the Young Bucks and Cody on this show, even if they got no match. And Cody goes, Max, I know I can't touch you, but those guys can. And he turns around and takes double super kick. So they got MJF, and I think it was Matt Jackson yells, should we throw him in the pool? Or maybe it was Cody that yelled. Somebody yells, should we throw him in the pool? So they take MJF. Yells Cody. Says, should we throw Max in the pool? So they take him over, the Young Bucks do, and they throw him into the pool. He does a nice flip dive into the pool, and cool. They had to get it in. They had to get the Bucks on there. They had to get Cody on the show. And somebody had to go into that pool. Why not MJF? Wardlow wasn't there. And I liked the reasoning. They said, Wardlow isn't here because he's training for his cage match against Cody. So here's my question. Does that mean he's not going to be on Dynamite for like a month because that match is not taking place for a month? So then we got the thing with Tony Schiavone and Omega and Page that I already talked about. We then learned of 3 matches, 1, 2, 3, taking place on next week's show. Oops, sorry about that. Taking place on next week's show from Cleveland, Ohio. The Young Bucks will be taking on the Butcher and the Blade. Cody will go one-on-one with Kip Sabian. The Inner Circle's Chris Jericho. Santana and Ortiz will take on the team of Darby Allin and the Private Party. Plus, a promo will be cut by the new number 1 contender. And speaking of the number 1 contender, that was the next match. But before we talk about that, this video, this preview, this review is brought to us by Strong Style Brand. Strong Style Brand is a pro wrestling inspired clothing apparel line that is just very, very cool. They are endorsed by many top professional wrestlers like former Impact Wrestling World Champion Sami Callihan, Britt Baker, Abby Lath, even MJF at one point was sponsored by Strong Style Brand. Head over to strongstylebrand.com/PWUnlimited today to get 10% off of your purchase, whether you're buying a hat, a t-shirt, a hoodie, shoes, or one of their customizable t-shirts. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be dissatisfied. Again, head over to strongstylebrand.com/PWUnlimited today to get 10% off of your purchase. And if you forget the /PWUnlimited, remember to use PWUnlimited at checkout, and you'll also get the discount there as well. So Strong Style Brand is a great, great brand that we've partnered with. And, well, head over there and get some really cool wrestling-inspired merch. So let's talk about this main event. It was Jon Moxley versus Pac, or Pac, whatever you want to call him. And this is a little bit of a head scratcher. I didn't do that on purpose. My head itched, but the crowd was really not into a lot of this match, to be completely honest. He began with some chain wrestling. Moxley hit a release German. Pac began hitting strikes to Moxley's bandaged eye. They rolled to the outside where Pac continued working over the eye. Moxley made a comeback during the commercial as they brawled up, down, and all over the ship. Well, the area around where the ring was set up. Oh, and Jericho was on commentary, just so you know. He was putting Pac over like he was a champion, to be completely honest. As they returned from break, Pac hit a missile dropkick. Moxley no-sold it and hit a lariat. He traded some strikes, and Moxley hit X-Plex for a near fall. Pac hit a jawbreaker. They fought on the top rope, and Moxley got the best of it. He shoved Pac off and hit an elbow. He sold the elbow on landing. The announcers reminded us, that's the elbow he had a staph infection in. Well, I thought he was completely healed up. Why would it still be bothering him? Pac used a brutalizer. Moxley rolled him over into a pinfalling attempt, kind of like reversing the brutalizer. Pac kicked out and hit a Kawada kick. Pac then went for the Black Arrow. Moxley got his knees up and used a cradle for a near fall. Pac hit a release German. Pac tried another Black Arrow. And Moxley kind of like swiveled himself around. This is kind of weird. And Pac completely missed. Pac then hit a super kick on Moxley. He tried another, but Moxley blocked into a double arm DDT for a 2. Pac then rolled to the outside. Moxley went after him and threw him back inside. Pac hit a superplex. Pac again applied a brutalizer. They did a long tease, but Moxley reached the bottom rope before the break. Pac then said, hell with this, and he ripped the bandage off the eye of Moxley. Moxley then went for a cradle and only got a near fall off of it. And Moxley, with the bandage off, he still had like another little piece over his eye. The finish of this match saw Moxley hit a double arm DDT out of nowhere, followed it up with the paradigm shift, and, well, got the pin. Jericho then got off of commentary, stared down Moxley at the top of the ramp, and the show went off the air. We're done with the cruise. Next week we go to Cleveland. And yeah. So, with all of that, I wanted to talk about one Booker T. So Booker T every week has been on WWE Backstage. But, as you may have noticed, Booker T was missing this week from WWE Backstage. Why, you may ask? That's because Booker was on the Jericho Cruise. And here is the most interesting thing about all of that. Booker T went on the Jericho Cruise, which is 100% associated with All Elite Wrestling. They're running All Elite Wrestling matches. They're filming All Elite Wrestling television on this cruise. But do you guys remember the reason Booker said he wouldn't do StarCast? Booker literally pulled out of StarCast in Vegas because he said, I don't want to be doing an event that is associated with a rival company to WWE. Huh? Literally, Booker didn't want to do StarCast because he thought StarCast was ran by AEW or in conjunction with AEW. Some can say that, but it was more of a, hey, there's going to be a lot of people in this town for the AEW stuff. Why don't we do a convention as well that's not linked to AEW? This cruise ship was more linked to AEW than StarCast ever was. And for Booker to give that reason before of why he wouldn't do StarCast, but then show up on the cruise, very, very odd. So I don't know if Booker's going to be in Houston on Sunday for the Royal Rumble to do the pre-show like he usually is, I would assume. But we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Because, you know, Booker got to go on the cruise and didn't have to do backstage. But Renee didn't get to go spend time with her husband on a cruise. No. She had to go to LA and do backstage. So, I don't get it. We got a couple text messages here, though, that I do want to read. If you do want to call in as well, we will take your calls at 510-906-1341. Again, you can text or call into the show at 510-906-1341. Load up these text messages here. This first one, I get this question a lot. This first person says, "Will Jake Hager compete on AEW?" I mean, he's got to eventually. I would assume. We got a call coming in. Let's take this call. If it'll go. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on? Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Tim, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I liked, I want to say I liked tonight's episode, of Dynamite. I really thought the cruise was really cool. I just think that they could have used the atmosphere a little better.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, because it was really cool, and, the wind, and it was pretty cool. I wish they would have showed, like, may have, like, a drone or something, and maybe, like...
They did, but you only saw it during a commercial break. They actually had a shot of the entire cruise ship during one of the commercials. It was like a far-off drone shot circling around the ship.
Interesting. I did not see that. I was probably watching some NXT myself.
Yeah,
so,
it was during one of the commercial breaks, so you may not even noticed it anyways in the little small picture-in-picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I would like to know what's going on with this whole Elite storyline with them, them winning the belts. I still think it leads to Hangman, turning heel sometime, maybe in like the spring.
I mean, I was always under the impression Hangman versus Omega at Revolution. That's what I thought this was going to lead to, and it very well still can.
Yeah.
But it's just a little odd that they put the titles on them. It's like we've seen it before where people win tag titles and then they don't really get along and then they feud and they have a big match. So it's not something new. We've seen it before. WWE's done it.
Yeah. I would have liked them to, like Omega hits his finishing move, and then Omega kind of like tags in and kind of screws them. I know this was obviously angled in the book, but I think that would have been kind of cool,
right?
Just to screw them in the last second. And I really thought that somebody else should take the title from SCU. Like, I don't even know who. Maybe like the best friends or Proud and Powerful. I really thought, just a
the one thing that I'm worried about now with Omega and Paige being the tag champions is, will their story overshadow them actually being the tag team champions?
Yes.
That's the one thing I'm worried about.
I completely agree. I could really see that.
Like, I get why you put the titles on them, because it's like, oh, they work really well together, even though they have these hiccups and these mishaps and stuff, but they're still really good together. So they're so good that they won tag titles. But I don't want them winning the titles and being the champions just part of their storyline, because they've done so well with their champions as far as these are the champions. They're important because they're champions and not for other reasons.
Yeah. I think it should all be a bunch of reasons combined in one, to be honest. They're the champs, but it's just, I don't know, it'll be interesting. But I have one final thought, and I know that you didn't like the Britt Baker match at all. Well, to be quite honest with you, I really didn't either. However, I'm very happy that we actually got a normal women's match in, so they could showcase, the women's division, not have Luther from the Nightmare Collective come out and be all weird, or
Brandy's not on the boat, so they didn't do it. That's why they didn't do any Nightmare Collective. There's two reasons. First off, Brandy was speaking at a convention today, so she wasn't even going to be. The plan originally was she was going to do the first half of the boat, the cruise, and then when they docked in the Bahamas, she was going to fly back for the convention. But she stated that she wasn't even able to go at all because she either lost or had her passport stolen. So she wasn't even able to get on the boat.
Huh, interesting.
So that's why there was... that's why there was no Nightmare Collective, because you can't do it without Brandy.
Well, obviously, yeah. But long for sure, I guess that might have been a good thing, in my opinion. It's just I mean, I enjoy story a lot wrestling 'cause that's kind of what wrestling is. But I
Right.
think they also need to have a normal women's match, and I think
I
we
agree.
got that tonight. And I'm not sure. The problem is with AEW's women's division. I don't know who's necessarily a baby face and a heel. I mean, I can tell you Britt Baker and Nightmare Collective and Riho's a face, but I couldn't tell you. You know, it's hard to get a grip
Right.
on their women's division at this point. But that's all I got for you
All
tonight,
right.
Tim. I'll probably talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for the call and have a great night. All right. Got a couple text messages here before we do wrap things up. This person here says, why not turn every AEW women's division heel since there's no one in charge making good booking and storyline? Because you can't have everybody a babyface or everybody a heel. Then what are you really doing? What are we really doing here? You got to have heels. You got to have baby faces. I get what they're doing with the Britt Baker thing. She was brought in as this big, huge baby face. Things didn't go her way. She keeps losing the big one. And so now she's just, screw it. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I think that's the way it's supposed to be perceived is Britt was this big, ever-loving baby face. Everybody loved her. She was the dentist that everybody cheered for. But she never won the big one. She had 3 or 4 shots at the title, which is kind of weird to think that she's had like 3 or 4 title shots already. Anyways, and when she couldn't win them all, maybe it's screwing with her mind. Maybe it's just triggered something in her. And now she's a heel. But you can't have everybody be a heel. You can't have everybody be a babyface. Then who's going to play the bad guy? You can't cheer and you can't just, it just doesn't make sense. This person here wants to talk about the Royal Rumble as we wrap this up. This will be the last text message. If it wants to load. Person says, Royal Rumble topic. What if R-Truth or Ricochet enters in number 2 in the Rumble? Well, according to Truth, he's not in the Rumble. There are only 6 spots left to be filled in the Royal Rumble, and Truth said that he's not in. So, I assume no Truth. Plus, after last year, I don't know if Truth wants to even be in the Rumble. But, I mean, Ricochet entering at number 2, I wouldn't be against it because we know how great Brock Lesnar is with smaller opponents like a Daniel Bryan, like an AJ Styles, like a Rey Mysterio, like a Ricochet. So, if you need somebody to be in there for 90 seconds with Brock when this match starts off, why not a Ricochet? It could be good. It could be fun. It could be pretty damn good. Awesome, maybe even. But with that, it's going to wrap things up. That's going to do it for tonight, talking AEW Dynamite. I want to say thank you to everybody who did join me here live and everybody who watched later right here on YouTube or listened on podcast services all around the world. We will have a NXT review up tomorrow, may not be live, and then we'll be live again Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. Technically, we're going to be live 4 days in a row, maybe 5, maybe 6 if we're live tomorrow. Got a lot of shows coming up. We've got World Collide on Saturday. Well, first, we've got Friday NXT. Friday SmackDown. Saturday, Worlds Collide. Sunday, the 2020 Royal Rumble. Monday, Monday Night Raw. So we've got a lot of podcasts, a lot of reviews coming for you. And, well, I hope to see you guys all there. Have a good night, guys.